and grease and belts I got, extra V-belts for my equipment. Welcome to Hanging with Pawpaw. Got all kinds of stuff, but today I want to talk to you about something that I didn't know I think I'd ever do. That's my John Deere 4044R. I've owned John Deere equipment for 53 years now. Bought my first John Deere tractor when I was 9 years old. My brother Wayne was 11. We bought that one right there. John Deere 430 diesel. Started our business called Yarding and Gardening. Bought it, push mower, and a trailer to haul it in. 10 gallons of diesel fuel and some business cards. Went to the bank, borrowed the money, and they loaned it to me. But that's another story in itself. Then when I was 37 years ago, newly married and bought a house, I showed up, and in my garage was this one, John Deere 650. My brother Wayne at the time had become a John Deere dealer. I need air in that tire. And still got both of them. They still run good. Still use this one quite a bit. The 650, it's 4-wheel drive. Still use this one a little bit, but too emotionally attached to it to sell it. Then I bought this one in 2016 from Ag Pro, John Deere 4044R. So I've got 54 years of, maybe not that quite. Let's see, I'm 65, so 50, whatever it is. I got a bunch of years in owning and John Deere tractor equipment, and I've done something I thought I would never do. I have been shopping for a new tractor because of that Bobcat right there. It has air heat and air conditioning. Little mini excavator I got. I've been shopping for a new tractor. So I'm going to go over that with you because it was quite an experience, and I think y'all need to know. Can't tell, I bought a Yanmar YT359C. 60 horsepower tractor with cab, air conditioning, heating and air, 4-wheel drive. Comes with all the bells, buzzers, beeps, and whistles. Bigger, more powerful tractor than that one. Not as many horsepower as the 66, but when you look at the specs, probably as powerful as the 4066 are. But I'm going to go over all that with you and show you why I made the decision to do what I did. versus going from a John Deere to the Yanmar, and tell you why I think that's the best decision you can make. Because that's a real tractor right there. Let me get my paperwork. Alright, so, alright, a little bit about me. First thing, I'm 6'10", 309 pounds as of Monday. And I need a little more room than the average guy. In the cab of that tractor right there, I've got all kinds of leg room, body room, arm room, moving around room, plenty of room for me and my dog and whatever else I want to put in there. The cab, as you see, is kind of a low profile on that one, where a John Deere cab is big and wide and up and bulky. This is a low profile, and I can go through my woods and trails, doing deer plots, and from pasture to pasture or section to section without any issues. Even with the John Deere and the canopy on it, I always had issues of I'd rip holes in the canopy or turn it or whatever. That was one reason I liked the profile of it and the way it fit and the design of the tractor. So let's go over the two tractors, because I didn't want to go downhill on the tractor. I wanted to make sure I was going up. So I went to John Deere to get me a 40R series tractor with a cab. I looked at the 52 and the 66, and I said, well, I'm going to step up. I might as well go to 66 because there ain't a whole lot of difference in price. So at one Ag Pro I talked to, the 66 4066R with the cab, with those three rear remotes, $86,432. I think that had sales tax on it too. That's a lot of money for a tractor. So then I went back and I looked at the 52, and part of the issue they had with the 52, or the Ag Pro salesman, different Ag Pro salesman now, told me, was John Deere can add 2 rear remotes easily. Wanting that third one was a real pain in the butt. And he said there's some hydraulic things we got to change and do internally to make that work. He'd have to get a quote from John Deere. So I said, well, just quote it with 2 rear remotes and the power beyond, and a third function valve. I'll explain the live third function valve in a minute. He came back and quoted me $70,900 with 2 remotes, the power beyond, and the third function valve up front for the 4052. For the 4066 was $76,700. Okay, looking at the tractors, I study things pretty hard. I want to get a value for my money, but I want to buy quality equipment, because you get what you pay for. In a tractor or a car or a tool or whatever, you get what you pay for. And I bought the 4044R, and I'm not going to hedge anything. I've had problems with it. You're going to have a problem with anything you buy. Most of the time, most time I can fix about anything that I want to. I'm pretty handy and do most all my own mechanical and stuff, but I did have to take it back for a warranty after about 200 hours. The PTO quit working on the 4044R just out of the blue, but yet the system said it was running. Everything was fine, so I took it back to Ag Pro. 4 months. Took 4 months for them to finally figure out that the clutch inside of the transmission didn't have, the bolts had fallen out on it. Now, how the bolts fall out and they don't find all the bolts and the nuts when they take it apart, they had to tear the tractor completely in half. So and another thing about the John Deere's is I couldn't self-diagnose it without their code book or without their John Deere computer system. But back to the basics of the tractor. So I started looking around, looking at John Deere's. I looked at Kubota. I looked at YTM. Kubotas I never have really felt good about, but that's just my opinion. Kubota makes a good tractor. I was on my way to my friend Terry's house and went by Yanmar's corporate headquarters over here in Woodstock, Georgia. And they had a bunch of tractors sitting out front. I said, oh, look at there. This is back in December. So I pulled in and they had one, that YT359C, and I got to look at that tractor and crawled inside of it, and it's the specifications on it was everything I was looking for. More powerful than my 4044R. Came standard now. On the showroom floor comes standard with 2 rear remotes. And an option to add a third. So I sat down with a guy and had him price it out to me. I had him add the third rear remote, so that way I can have a top and tilt and run a stump grinder or bat wing or whatever. I had him add a third function valve. Now, first thing he suggested was that I ought to look at a live third function from WR Long, and they would install it. And what the live third function does is allow you to run, like I've got my limb saw over here. I can have my limb saw going and still have all the controls of my front end loader, up, down, tilt, over, all the controls with a live third function. You can also just hold the switch down and run everything you want to and still operate that running with everything else going. It's a pretty nice feature. I really appreciate him suggesting that. So the tractor, only thing I really had to add to their tractor, to the Yanmar, was the third remote and the live third function. Now their third remote was $559 or $589. $559 at the time I bought it, or the time I ordered it. The WR Long live third function was $1,000 installed. I had rim guard put in the tires, all 4 tires. I had them change. It came standard with the lights, front and rear. John Deere did not. I did not have John Deere price those. I had them change those to the high intensity LED lights, which was $189 for both the front and the back. To add, that was an upgrade. That's all I had to ask them to do. And my drive out price was $48,673. Wait a minute. Hold on. Did I say that right? Yeah. 60 horsepower tractor. Built the way a tractor should be built, with all the extras you're going to need anyway. Because you really, if you hadn't bought a tractor, you need to own a tractor and run one for a while to really understand what you should have got. This one takes a lot of that, and they figured out what you're going to need and already had it added to it. $48,676. Folks, that's a $30,000 savings. That's a lot of money between two tractors. So back on comparisons, besides $30,000 in price, now the 4052 and the 4066 are basically the same tractor, same size, same everything, except for 52 horsepower versus 66 horsepower. So the lift capacity on the John Deere's, on the bucket's 2,000 pounds. The Yanmar 2,500. Lift capacity on the rear end, the 3-point hitch, 3,130 on the John Deere's, 3,307 on the Yanmar. Lift capacity at 24 inches, in other words, you got an implement on it, 24 inches out, you got some weight back there. On the John Deere, it's 2,500 pounds. On the Yanmar, it's 2,756 pounds. Makes a difference. Makes a big difference. PTO horsepower on the 4052 was 39.9. PTO horsepower on the 66R is... I use tractordata.com to look up specifications. It says 57 horsepower at the PTO. Now, one thing I did learn talking to the Ag Pro salesmen, some of them give more information than others, was you lose, when you put a cab on a John Deere tractor, you lose 4 plus PTO horsepower. Don't know why he said that, but that's what he said. So that puts that down to around 50, that 57 down to around 53 horsepower, if that is true, which the way he explained it made sense to me. The PTO horsepower of the Yanmar is 52 horsepower. About, not enough horsepower difference there for $30,000, even with the 4 horsepower that you lose. Weight, John Deere. Now this weight figure is without the front end loader on both tractors and without any fluid in the tires. It's 3,770 pounds on the John Deere's, 4,442 pounds on the Yanmar. It's already a little heavier. And if you got hills, where I am in Georgia, I do a lot on the hills and slopes. That weight makes a big difference. Wheelbase on the John Deere, 73 inches. Wheelbase on the Yanmar is 77.4. Hydraulic flow on the John Deere, 15.9. Hydraulic flow on the Yanmar, 14.7. On the John Deere, one of the things that said hydraulic flow equipment, it says 11.2 on the John Deere, but then on the tractor data it says that the steering uses 6.9. 6 from 15 is 9 point something. But hydraulic flow from the sheet says not tested, 11.2. On the Yanmar, 9.4. they'll run the same equipment. Still, not a $30,000 difference. So after looking at everything and going over it, and the other thing you need to know when you're buying a tractor, two things, you need to know what you're going to. Two things you need to know when you're buying a tractor. One, what are you going to use it for? Really, what do you plan to use it for? And two, where can you get it serviced? Okay, so one of the original fallbacks I had to the Yanmar was, where am I going to get it serviced? Fortunately for me, there's a Yanmar dealer 30 minutes down the road. Their corporate headquarters 30 minutes down the road, and they got a Yanmar service center there. Sell tractors and really nice folks, very helpful. John Deere, Kubota, they got dealers everywhere. But then I got to asking some of the John Deere dealers. I said, "Well, could y'all service a Yanmar?" He said, "Well, yeah." And one of them said, "Well, we got Yanmar engines in most of the John Deere tractors." I said, "Huh, that makes a lot of sense." Kubota said the same thing. So then I started doing a little more research and looking into things, and come to find out, 7 of the top 10 tractor manufacturers in the country, for sure, I'm going to say in the world, but in the country, all use Yanmar engines and Yanmar equipment. Another thing, and they use those engines and they adapt them to fit their other transmissions they source somewhere else. Another thing about the Yanmar tractor is it's built from the front end to the back end. Every bolt and nut, transmission, everything by Yanmar. Manufactured by Yanmar, built by Yanmar. So they don't have to go out and adapt nothing to make it fit somebody else's engine or transmission. They built it all. Yanmar came up with this new transmission that's in this tractor. But I'm going to tell you, once you start to use it and you understand it and you get to the feel of it, I mean, it's got a control over here that you can set. It's like driving a car with 2 cruise controls. You can cruise control your speed, and then you can hit a button and have another speed for, if you like. The last time I used it, for the example, is I was cutting my pasture on top of a hill over here, and there's one spot where it goes low and gets a lot of water, and the grass and the weed and that old saw grass, I call it, gets real thick. So I always have to slow my tractor down to make sure I get a good cut first pass through there. Then you come out of the bottom there and you come around, it just, you go back to 3 or 4 miles an hour. So it has an A and B mode on that transmission, that on my knob, where the front end loader knob, I just hit a button. So I can set 2 different speeds, A speed and B speed. So as I'm going down into the bottom, I just hit the button and it goes to B mode. And no matter how hard I push that pedal, it's only going to run the speed that I set it that I want it to go. So if I want to go 2 miles an hour or 1.8 miles an hour, you can adjust it minutely. If I want to go 2 miles an hour with a PTO of 540, it's going to just hit the button, it goes 2 miles an hour, max speed with a PTO of 540. As I come up out of the bottom and start getting to the not as intense grass or pasture, I hit it back into A mode and I'm back to 3 to 4 miles an hour, 540 PTO. Actually, I was running 3.8 miles an hour because that seemed to run good. And you didn't have to make it just was nice. And the air conditioning, it's just a good feature. I've still got a little more to learn about it, because you can set different PTO speeds as well on it. But again, it's a little more advanced tractor, but it's got all the basics of a tractor, plus all the enhancements of a tractor that you'd expect in a modern day tractor. So, yep, I've gone to Yanmar and love it. I bought it I had it delivered at the end of February, early March, and have waited to do this review, or this first section. I got all kinds of stuff to review for you. Until I'd driven it a little while, used it on the farm out here, played with it, learned it, and could answer questions or comments, because I didn't want to leave something out there and people ask or comment about it and me not be able to at least give you some sort of an answer. Can't promise I'll answer all of them if you respond, but I'll do my best. Still, John Deere, I don't understand why there's $30,000 difference. Not counting the third function, the 3 rear remote hydraulic hookups. I don't understand what the third one would be so hard for John Deere to put on it, but according to the guy, it is. But still, $30,000, a lot of money. I can buy 2 tractors for that. I sure can't buy a whole lot more equipment with another $30,000 than I did, and I've got a great tractor. I think I got one of the best tractors on the market, if not the best tractor on the market. So if you're looking to buy a new tractor, you might be brand loyal, but you should seriously look at the Yanmars and understand what you're buying. You're getting a great quality tractor at a real value. And the last thing I want to tell you is I've had John Deere's for 54 years. John Deere's never sent me anything. They've never sent me a Christmas card. They've never said thank you for owning your equipment. Thank you for buying a new tractor. And what did Yanmar do? Yanmar sent me a welcome new tractor package, and I'll add it to the end of this video to show you what they sent me. But had a hat, limited edition hat, only for Yanmar tractor owners, or official owner of a Yanmar tractor hat. I got that work light right there in the corner sticking out this way. Great little work light. And a multi-tool, but I'll add the video to the end of this. Thank y'all for taking the time and hearing me out and looking at my specs. And if you got any questions, go to tractordata.com. You can look up any tractor you want. Just type it down. It'll break out all the specs, and you can run to do the same thing. Spreadsheet, check it out. Now, I mentioned something about the John Deere service. The John Deere tractor came with a 3-year and a 5-year warranty. This one comes with a 10-year warranty. 10 years. Drivetrain warranty. 10-year warranty. You don't have to tear that one in half to get to it. The transmission and everything slides out the back. So you shop here. If it, after 10 years, warranty work, you can take it apart in your shop. You don't have to have any real special equipment. So there's a lot of differences, and I got to tell you, it took me 2 weeks of running to understand everything that the advantages to the Yanmar after owning it. And I'm sounding negative, John Deere, and I'm not. I'm just telling you the differences and why I chose the tractor that I chose. Now, $30,000, a lot of money. You gotta really look at Yanmar. Paul's out.